Good morning, everyone, and welcome to successcafe.tv. My name's Paul Bursey, and I'm speaking from Witham in the UK, which is in Essex, the county of Essex. So, also with me is...
Hey, everyone. It's Warren here, Warren Connolly, coming to you from Santander in Hungary, the county of Buda.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like the Far East. Anyway, today's headline, a decisive mind is powerful. What's your first thoughts on that?
Agreed.
Okay, we can go ahead. Okay. I mean, in my experience, okay, I just think it's the ultimate personal power. You know, it's something that you have control over. We don't have control over much these days. But that is definitely one of those things that we have the ultimate power over. So now, whether they're right decisions or not is another matter. But I think if you're making decisions, number one, you're bold. And number two, it increases your power. So you become empowered. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, in more ways than one, it increases your power, especially if you're in the workforce. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Become more valuable. The more decisions you make, the more value you have.
Yeah, that's it. The more empowered you become, it sends your imagination into overdrive, and your thinking level is on a different level. It just is. And the thing is, if you make powerful decisions, there's infinite possibilities to what you can do with your life. So and things open up to you, whereas they didn't before, probably because you didn't see them and you weren't aware of them. But everything's there in place.
Yeah, it's always in plain sight, isn't it?
Well, yeah, most everything's in plain sight.
Yeah,
even lying, cheating, everything's in plain sight. It's whether you're tuned in to pick up quality, exciting opportunities, and everything else that goes with it. I mean, it's all there in front of you. It's like you can give you an example. You can walk down a street market, and not really pay too much attention and just enjoy the ambience and look at the stalls and not think anything more of it. But I can tell you now, I'm a professor when it comes to working street markets, and there's an undercurrent that most people don't see. And there's an undercurrent of thieves, drugs, everything. Okay, and I'd much prefer these days to have the ambience and walk down as if nothing's there.
It's not your business anymore.
It's not my business anymore. Okay, unless it affects me, which is going to be rare. So some people make fast quality decisions while others dither. Have you ever dithered before?
Who hasn't dithered? I don't think that should be the question, is who hasn't dithered? I think even people that have got an inherently built-in decisive and disciplined mindset have dithered at some point. I don't think anybody on some matter. People might be completely obsessive and decisive and clear cut when it comes to business, but when it comes to relationships, maybe they dither about things, vice versa. When it comes to relationships, many people just make a go for it. They take the beeline and they go. Whereas when it comes to business, they probably second guessing themselves on a regular basis.
Well, here's the one that I used to see people dither on most, including myself. And that was, do you know I was going to put money on that horse to win?
Yeah, right.
Oh, dear. Okay. So people make quality decisions, then have to do something about it, don't they? Because that's the other thing. You can make a quality decision, but unless you back it up, it's not worth very much.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is then taking massive action on a good idea, and turning it into persistent commitment, as I call it.
Well, and on the flip side of that coin, and to lend to what you're saying is, as well as, if you've got, not the flip side of the coin, but to to lend to what you're saying, is like, in addition to that, is the more decisive your decision making is, the more likely you are to take massive action or take compelling action. I don't like the word massive action, because I think it's diluted these days. Massive action. People think massive action is working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
No.
And that's not what I like, and that's not what I agree. What either you or I agree upon.
Okay, we'll call it quality action then.
Yeah, decisive action, or impactful action. Yeah. So if you have a decisive mind, you're going to have decisive action. If you are dithering about something, you're going to be more reluctant to take decisive action, because you're second guessing yourself in the first place, right? So you don't want to make as decisive an action as you would typically do in case you fail. So you might take action, but it's going to kind of be like touch and feel. Let me see what it's like. This is what you and I experience in business on a regular basis, right? People will start up their own businesses, a brick and mortar type business, be it a restaurant, a retail store, or something like that, or they have a job. But then the moment they come to something where it's based around more of an e-commerce platform, or there's not as many tangibles involved, then people tend to dither a lot, and then they want to dip their toes in to test the waters rather than take decisive action. Because they don't see certain things in a certain way, and this is how we function typically as an individual. We are not always, we don't see everything clearly as much as we would like to, but we also forget that we don't drive down a dark road seeing everything at the same time. We drive down a dark road trusting ourselves, trusting our intuition, and then we take that action on taking that path, even though we can't see everything. But this is the other thing, is that it's trusting yourself. Very often, if you take decisive action, it means you're trusting your ability. You have a stronger sense of accomplishment. You have a stronger sense of, I know I can accomplish this much easier than that other possibility where I'm dithering and I'm second guessing myself. You have a what's this? There's a psychological term for when you have that sense of knowing within yourself. You have this different stages of the different stages of awareness. So sometimes you know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't know, sometimes you don't know, and sometimes you don't know, you don't know. And in a case like this,
it's much easier if you just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah.
I mean, look, decisive people, they appear to enjoy life much better. They obviously make more money, and obviously, they're the ones that get the plaudits,
Uh-huh.
and that's if you want plaudits. I mean, some people do, some people don't, but I definitely would want to enjoy life more and make the money, because money can be important.
Oh, yeah, especially today, money can be, and it's becoming more and more, unfortunately. But as money disappears quicker and quicker, unfortunately, it's becoming a little bit more necessary as well at the same time.
Yeah.
So you need to take decisive actions on certain things in your life. Period.
Absolutely. And so have you ever been presented with a really great or fantastic opportunity, or maybe some insurmountable obstacle that you can be confronted with, and which is really an opportunity in disguise? What did you do with it? Has there ever been a time that you didn't do anything and should have done?
There's always one example that comes back to me when that kind of question pops up, as when I was in the military, and I had an opportunity to go to our headquarters in Pretoria and work as a chauffeur and a bodyguard for a high-ranking official. I was offered the opportunity to do that, which meant that I would have had specialized training and all kinds of stuff like that. And that was always such a romantic idea, when you're in the military, to be doing something like that. And then in the moment, I just like said, no, I'm not going to do it. Thank you very much. And then they sent me to the desert. They did. They sent me to the desert.
Take
So
that.
I was like, okay, you don't want to. We're giving you a golden ticket. You don't want to take it. We'll send you to the desert. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty more that I just haven't made that quick action in my thinking and have missed out on some opportunities. But at the end of the day, as well, I do believe that you can't live a life full of regret either.
Oh no, absolutely not. No, I think that. I mean, my thing is now that if something great comes up, I grab it with both hands. I don't ignore it, or at least put it on the back burner. If you can't fit it in at the present moment, maybe you can do it a little bit later.
Yeah, I'm in that boat right now at the moment, where with two potential opportunities for myself and my family, but we're just having to put it on the back burner for the time being. But no sooner have I got does the opportunity arise for me to take action on them, I'm going to do that. And that's not about being indecisive about something. It's just you got to work with the predicament you find yourself in, or the situation, the environment you're placed in. And this is the thing, Paul, is that so many people don't see a good opportunity. And we touched on in the beginning of the they just don't see a good opportunity. You can literally stare them right in the face and they won't see it because they're not looking, or they don't trust themselves, or they have deficiency syndromes or symptoms of they don't believe in their own abilities, and things like that. So they won't see these opportunities, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the other thing is, I mean, is what people have got to be careful of also to keep things in the right perspective is there's one thing about doing something and starting something, maybe a business, and there's another thing grabbing everything that comes along, like the old shiny object syndrome, and so that you're overloaded. So you've got that as well. So this is where the decisive part of your mind has got to be. You've got to be absolutely ruthless on some occasions and say, no, I can't fit that in, because it will affect the other thing I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So you sometimes you do have to give up on certain things, but hopefully the thing that you're involved in at the moment, or something you're going to be involved in, you're inspired enough to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like turning our backs on tremendous challenges and tremendous opportunities, because you could end up regretting it. But again, there is a balancing act. Would you agree?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, of course. The way I also see this is that sometimes, well, the way I used to see it, let's put it that way, and I don't necessarily see it the same way anymore, but I used to see like a great opportunity would come, and I think, is this in alignment with what I want, where I want to move towards? And then I wouldn't be too clear on the answer on that, and I say, oh, maybe I should do this, maybe I shouldn't. But then I would think to myself, is this a test? Is this a test to see I really want what I say?
Who is this person that sends out these tests?
Exactly. But I've come to realize it's not that. It's sometimes these opportunities come, and it's because our brain or our mind is scattered. We're focusing on different things too often. So we then therefore attract certain things into our life which don't really serve us. And they look really nice at the time. It looks very promising at the time, and it may be great for the moment, but it's not going to serve us in the long term. And that's because, and I'm to blame. Like, this is one of my faults, is that I have so many interests. I love ancient history and mythology and things like that. I love sciences. I love biology and the body and how the mind works and how the body responds to our mind and our external environment and vice versa, all these different things. So I've got to keep my mind focused on certain things that are serving me towards my purpose now and what I want to achieve. And because of that, I think very often people miss the opportunities because their mind is either nowhere and they walk around like a zombie from day to day. They wake up, they go to sleep, they wake up, same thing again. Or they're like me, where the brain is like everywhere. You're observing everything. I love nature. I'm in nature almost every day basically. And then I'm observing and I'm seeing and I'm thinking and I'm exploring and all these kinds of things. So I've got to keep my mind focused so that when the right opportunity arrives, this is part of what a decisive mind is all about, and how powerful it can be. It could be decisive in your thoughts. Don't think about stuff that you're lacking and think about what you want because you're thinking of the lack. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But just be decisive in what it is that you think that you feel that you want. Feeling what you're wanting is going to draw to you what you actually is going to help you to get to what you want. But this is the key as well, is that you got to be decisive on that. You can't be thinking this one day and that the next day and this 1 minute and that next minute, because it's all like pretty things and the glistening and the glamour and whatever else that comes with it, the glitter and everything. You would be very decisive in your thinking in that way, and that's when it becomes so powerful.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I see you see me smiling now. I was just thinking about a decision maker, and you've seen those. I don't know what they are. Amphibians, are they little things? And when the tongue comes out when he's ready and snatches his prey.
You mean like a chameleon, like a chameleon?
Yeah, like a chameleon. Yeah. And that just made me laugh. I was just thinking exactly. Okay, yeah, that will do. So I mean, look, whatever you decide to do in life, it's got to come from strong feelings. It's got to come from desire, and it's an inside job. It's not. You can't do it unemotionally. Well, you can, but it's not going to be. There's not going to be any longevity in it because you've got to fall back on these emotions and feelings when things ain't going well. I think it all depends on the internal drive mechanism inside of you as an individual.
Yeah, and also, if I'm back to the feeling stuff and the internal drive, you got so many people that do business for the sake of making money, and there's no emotional attachment to it at all. It's just doing business to make money.
It doesn't work in my case anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't. No, it doesn't work for most people. We don't. I think, but even those people that are driven like that, they don't have an emotional attachment to it. So for some instances, it's great because you don't worry about whether you fail or not. That's your objective. You're like a bloodhound. You're just gonna make that successful, so you make the money, and that's your primary focus. So there is no emotional attachment to it, which is great in that instance. But very often, because there is no emotional attachment to it, you don't have the yearning or the desire to have that thing grow. Once you've achieved it, you want to move on to the next thing now. So it's always about the destination when you like that. It's not about the journey. The journey is what brings out the emotions, the idea of the journey. It's Homer's Iliad or any of the hero's journeys that we see countless pasted all over the world, Independence Day, in all these movies where it's the hero's journey. It's the journey that matters the most. It's not the outcome. The outcome is secondary. And this is where a decisive mind, again, is so powerful because, imagine if you put on a path to reach some greatness in life, and every time something comes up, you're like, you're never going to get anywhere. You're going to be stuck in that maze for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but the journey is all about momentum. You at some stage you have to sort of propel yourself into action and get moving. And then during that journey, you've got to have a will that's unbreakable. It depends on what it is you're doing. Okay, but if you're building your one thing, which is the one thing you've always wanted to do, and the passion and desire is there, you just have to forge ahead with what you're doing, and the momentum makes the journey fun.
Oh yes.
Because if you let the wheels of the engine stop, it's not so much fun. It's very easy to let the wheels rust up, as it were. So,
and then your brakes are continuously jamming the tires, and you can't get going. So you got to constantly push on the pedal, and soon yes, and next minute you're physically pushing the car because you've got no petrol to push it anywhere.
That's right.
So,
no, I never want to get to the stage where I say, look, I wish I'd done that.
I know that's I mean, again, if I look back at my life, I think there was like one or two times where I really do wish I'd been there, but it wasn't in my control. That was something that was out of my control. But if it was within my control, then I've learned to take that responsibility and that accountability for what I decided to do or did not decide to do.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think now, these days, there's not too much I let pass. But I think you do have to get the stage where you seize the day.
Seize the day.
Yeah, because there is only so many days. There's only so many hours and things like that. And you do, as you get older, you definitely appreciate the hours more. Still waste some of them, but nothing like I used to. Nothing. I mean, if you think of the wastage of time over the years that you do, watching box sets,
Well, just yesterday, I was working in the morning, then I planned to work in the afternoon, and from home, and I dropped our daughter off at a friend's house, came home, and Andrea had not been feeling too fantastically well in the morning, and I know that there's this movie that she's been wanting to watch. Her professors told her to suggested that she watch this movie. So I said, come, let's watch. And it was 2.5 hours long. So she said, like, we'd have to watch it in 2 parts. I said, whatever, but let's just sit and relax and just chill together and watch, And at one stage I was thinking, shit, I should actually be working right now. I thought, no, bugger it, no.
It depends what the reason is for watching the movie. Is it to relax, or is it for her to do a little bit of studying? Or I suppose you could put it down as studying.
Yeah, it was studying. It was the movie was a full length feature movie, but it was based on real events. So it's historically it's a period movie, and it was a great movie. The Last Kingdom. No, sorry, not The Last Kingdom. The Last Emperor. So the last.
Oh, hang on. Who's in that?
Peter O'Toole's in it.
That's quite a few years old then, isn't it?
1987. It was made.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a kind of like a biopic, and so she was told by her professor to watch it, but it's still a movie at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. You're still going to relax and enjoy it. And this is what I wanted her to do: was just chill and relax.
Yeah. So, decision making, being decisive. You're either a passive person or you're a brave person when it comes to making decisions. Okay? Or you could be a combination. So decide what you want to be when it comes to making decisions. I think making decisions is fun. If you've made the wrong decision and you're going at warp speed, you'll get to the mistake quicker.
Yes, this is
and then you can reverse it.
Yeah,
but it's indecision. I find is absolutely crippling, boring. If you make decisions fast, there is a knock-on effect, and it has a knock-on effect on the rest of everything that you're doing, and other people as well. So, how do you feel about indecision?
Definitely, it's crippling. I mean, I know from experience that indecision can be very crippling. So I've had to overcome that myself. Yeah, I was a chronic procrastinator before.
Oh, I think everyone's done that, haven't they? It's normally, to be fair.
No, not chronic procrastination.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. If you was actually to look at people's lives, you'd find that we're more chronic than we think we are.
There's certainly patterns in people's lives where there's that indecisiveness about their lives, and not everybody, but there are certainly patterns. But being a chronic procrastinator is really, it's like I guess it would be akin to somebody that has a fear for leaving their room.
Mm.
You understand?
Yeah.
When somebody has a fear for leaving their house and they can't go outside, it's very similar to that, because you kind of lock yourself in this you become self-imprisoned as a
Yeah.
chronic procrastinator. You really do. You second guessing yourself all the time. You never know. And even when you make a decision, you just don't trust yourself enough to follow through on it. And it is very debilitating.
Oh, I know. My uncle Derek, my favourite uncle, he was he had agoraphobic tendencies, and yeah, I mean, he luckily he drove, so he could get places if he really wanted to.
Okay.
But I said to him, because I was in the very early stages of goal setting and things like that, and I just said, look, why don't you set yourself a target of walking 200 yards down the road and back again every day, right? And then when you're ready, you increase it, so it becomes the norm. I mean, I've never had those tendencies, so I don't really know, but it seemed like a good idea to me, but he never ever took it up.
Now, that's a great idea, because it's just a step. It's a stepping stone.
Yeah. And
Maybe
you're telling your brain, at least you're telling your brain, well, yeah, I am fighting back a bit,
Yeah.
and that's how I saw it. But he never did. But he got away. He'd do a few miles in the car and then come back.
Okay.
I think it's the fear of not being able to get back quickly as well. But if you're not going great distances, it's different for everyone, I know. But so he's being decisive for strength.
Sure.
The ability to decide. Yeah.
Sure.
The ability to act if you need to. So yeah.
Yeah, and you can see this in any environment you work in or you're involved in. Just look at, if you play a team sport, who's typically the captain of the team, the most decisive decision maker. Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah, typically, not always. Again,
not always. Yeah. But
right.
I get what you're saying.
If you're in a work environment and you work in a team, look at who's typically your supervisor, manager, or senior person in the team is typically the quick decision makers. It's not always the charismatic ones. It's the ones that make the quickest decisions.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I was in the police, you used to take an exam and then an interview for to become a sergeant.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it didn't work in the police. the real good decision makers were left behind. So
Wow.
I'm not saying there weren't a lot of good decision makers as sergeants and inspectors, but generally speaking, a lot of good people were left behind. In the end, I mean, I was absolutely decisive to becoming boring, but and that's why in the end they just made me an honorary sergeant. Because I had my own team. But I wasn't going to take the exam. Told them that.
Honorary sergeant. I didn't know they did that.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was no money in it. It was just had my own team. So
okay.
So why is it good to be decisive?
So I think it frees you up. It frees you up for other opportunities, for thinking space, and helps you clear your mind when you make take decisive actions and make decisive decisions.
Yeah, I think the two words come up to me were effective execution. I think that was the.
You like that expression there.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It covers most things.
Hi guys from Alicante Beach. Yeah, whatever.
Was that Brian?
Yeah. Alicante Beach. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate that. You want to send us a photograph?
So
I'm joking because it's windy and overcast here. It's not particularly pleasant.
So if you were looking at a business opportunity, you've still got to balance the costs, haven't you, or the things that you need to do to whether you want to join a particular business or not, I mean, because you've got to get all the relevant information. You can't. I know some people make very, very quick decisions, sometimes without taking anything into account, which is also another bad thing. I think you've got to take certain things you do have to take into consideration and find out all the information.
It's wise,
but it balances with people who procrastinate, because some people get all the information and still procrastinate. I'd rather someone say, "No, I'm not interested," or "It's not for me," or maybe it's for me down the line, or something like that.
I know you've encountered this, and I've encountered this. If somebody wants to jump on board and get in business and partner up, and they don't want to know anything other than just where do I sign and how much.
Yeah, I did that in our current business,
and then I'm kind of like, okay, I'll let them go with it, but then I'm not overly optimistic or enthusiastic. I wouldn't say optimistic, but I'm not overly enthusiastic about that, because that's like kind of like that can be the bull in the china shop, proverbial bull in the china shop scenario. Or it could be somebody that just blows hot and cold.
Yeah,
this is often also
what I call a delayer.
A delayer.
A delayer of a decision. So it's like,
they make decisive decisions, but they don't always follow through on them either.
Look, there's no guarantee that you're not making a poor choice. But generally speaking, if you've got all the information, you should have a good idea.
I think the only guarantee you have of making a poor choice is by not making a choice.
Absolutely. That is making a decision, not to make a decision.
Yeah.
So, but in this world, I'm going to say I don't know what the word is.
Me neither.
Well, I'll say it and you tell me. There's no room for timid people in business.
Yeah, that's it. There's no room for timid people in business. Precisely.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But I wasn't sure if it was a bit controversial, but having said that, you can take people from being timid to strong.
It's a ruthless world out there.
Yeah, it is. It is. But you got a smile on your face, though.
Unfortunately, it is very much a dog-eat-dog world, but it's changing. It is changing. The business scope or the business spectrum and different industries, they are changing the way that business is conducted. It's not fittest of the survival of the fittest or the survival of the most ruthless and strongest. It's not that anymore. It never should have been, and it's now changing. It's becoming more about the wiser individuals, or the ones that are more prudent, more that they take various aspects into consideration first. Those are the people that are becoming more and more. For example, like if you look at in the 70s and 80s, a typical successful salesperson was the loudest and the quickest talker.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nowadays, that's very different. Now you got some of the most introverted people that are extremely successful at sales.
Well, that's right, because they can ask the right questions.
Yeah, because they take time to think.
Yeah,
just one second.
Absolutely.
1 second, folks. I have a bit of a technical glitch. My apologies.
Technical glitch. I refuse to move when I'm on these Facebook Lives because of that reason.
Because of what?
Because of that reason. Talking of hitches, I better check my electric. I didn't plug my thing in.
Yeah, I forgot to plug mine in, and
mine's all right. Mine
almost went black.
So I don't like being around wishy-washy people. People who waffle, people who can't make decisions. And as I say, I like being around confident decision makers, people who can make a timely decision. How about you?
I don't really mind, to be honest. I mean, everybody has their place, the way I look at it. But at the same time, I'm also very much aware of, the people that I'm around that are influencing me. So, it's even if I have a client that is kind of like indecisive in the decisions and this and that, I limit the time that I spend with them as best as I can.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I know that that energy is going to permeate and it's not going to be good for me. So I have to, and then I end up protecting myself because, yeah, otherwise it's easy to just to, yeah, whatever.
So just one last question, and there was another bit I was going to do, but I'm going to leave that because of the time. And can indecision cause depression? There's a question for you.
Is that a rhetorical question or
No, real question.
Yes, I believe most definitely indecisiveness can definitely cause depression.
Yeah.
You know, if not directly, indirectly, because the fact that you are indecisive and making a decision, let's say, I was offered to work with a company here locally, okay,
Mm-hmm.
here where I live, with a friend of mine. He's got his own company, and he offered me an opportunity to work with them. And then prior to COVID, he actually was talking about me flying around Europe and working with them and striking up deals and all these kinds of things. And I worked with him on the ground in the beginning, and I didn't mind it. It was labor work, but it was learning the ropes, understanding the basics of the company. And then I left it. And I left it because I just didn't see it as being something that was in alignment with me personally. Not that I didn't want to align myself with the company. It's a great company. Now they're doing fantastically well. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be part of that show. But in the same breath, I'm glad I'm not, because it wouldn't have been guiding me in the direction in which I know I want to be going in. It wouldn't have aided me in that. You know, it would have been just a diversion, and it would have set me back even further for what I want to achieve in life. So, yeah, I mean, I could have looked at it in retrospect and gone, I missed out, because they really are. They're very successful. They have loads of recognitions and different stuff like that, and they have a unique product. And I could have looked at it like that and thought, I've missed out on the boat. But I thought, no, I can't do that. It's not right, because it's not who I am actually internally. And this is another guiding factor, I think, for people to consider, is that you need to know who you are as well and who you want to be, perhaps.
Yeah.
And if you miss an opportunity, or if you do make take indecisive actions or inactions for that matter, then just let it be, let it go. And when you know who you are and you know where your path lies, then it won't bother you that much. But you can't, I know it's easier said than done, but you really cannot afford to let a decision that you did or did not make, determine whether you feel happy or not.
No, I agree. I mean, look, indecision, it's typically associated with anxiety, stress, depression, mental anguish. And I'm going to throw 3 other words in there, and that's fear, doubt, and worry. So you've got to put yourself in a position where you're thinking clear, you're thinking positive, and you're doing something or not doing something for your benefit or someone else's benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So in fact, decision making has become pretty easy for me now, after all these years. No, I've always been a decision maker. I can track it back to when I was, my very early teens, even before that. So it is something. I don't know where it came from. Probably from my mum, but because she used to get the bit between her teeth, and when she was determined, it happened.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll probably put it down to that. So with that, have you got anything else you want to add to our little talk on decision making?
Yeah.
No.
Well, the power of decisive action, just decisive decisions. No, I don't. Nothing else to add to that. I don't think.
Yeah, I will say one. I just thought of this, and I just thought, well, it's funny that when you make a great decision, it's it's a wow moment. When you're indecisive, there is no wow moment.
No.
So maybe something to think about. All right, lovely. Well, it's great chatting with you, Warren. And we've done 40 minutes. Time to go.
Yes.
And
Time to put the kettle on.
time for tea. Yeah. So now I'm going to get into some work. So have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you on Wednesday, hopefully, on healthierlife.tv. I don't know what we're talking about on Wednesday, but I could probably go and delve. I haven't got time to look now. So
we're talking about something very interesting.
Well, I know we will be talking about something very interesting.
All these viewers will be intrigued about.
Yes, just don't know what at the moment. No, I've got a list. I've got a list, so don't worry. I just can't think what it was. All right, it's lovely. Speak to you soon. Have a great week.
Ciao, ciao.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.